picture and introduce all four of us for the sake of the recording.
Okay, so it's recording now. I'm going to go ahead and mute my video, and I'll be keeping an eye on everything.
All right, thanks again, Angela. Well, for the sake of the recording, good morning. This is Mark Standley with Educating for Leadership. I want to welcome you to a STEM workshop culminating event that we're doing today for a number of the Upward Bound communities that we've been doing STEM workshops in this spring. St. Mary's, Shishmaref, Seward, and with the Lower Kuskokwim School District. We're real excited today. We've got four fantastic presenters. I guess I better not say it that way since I'm one of them. We have 3.5 fantastic presenters. Dr. John Monahan, the Director of Upward Bound in UAF up in Fairbanks. We have Adam Lau from Hawaii, a former science teacher from Cordova, and now one of our STEM teachers with Educating for Leadership. We have Dr. Rob Lang with the University of Alaska in engineering. We'll be talking about engineering in Alaska and the potential. And finally, I'll be presenting later this morning about the sound and what students can do using listening devices. Each of these presentations will be roughly 25 minutes long. We'll be pausing at the end of each one, and they'll come as 4 separate chunks that you can listen to later. And we encourage and invite you to share these with your students and your communities as part of a STEM-oriented curriculum and STEM ideas that kids could use. With that, our first presenter is Dr. John Monahan, Director of Upward Bound at University of Alaska Fairbanks. And Dr. John, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Thank you to everybody online. It's exciting to be here. I am prepared to talk just a little bit about foundation of how we got where we are, a little bit about STEM, and where we see things progressing into the future. So it's an exciting time in Alaska. It's an exciting time with STEM. And science, technology, engineering, math is, as we've watched this progress over the past couple years, there's a lot of great employment opportunities and fun activities out there for students. And I'm going to be primarily addressing and thinking about students as we progress through this. We just had an amazing culmination activity where we took 10 young women to DC to learn about career and leadership opportunities. And it was really well reinforced that STEM is a great career choice as we progress into the future, and not only just in those hard sciences, but also in the science of teaching and leadership, being prepared to use the skills that make you successful in a STEM career also have great possibilities for getting jobs out in the village. I'm at an Educators Rising workshop right now, which is one of the programs that we help to promote students who are interested in becoming teachers in their homes or wherever they might be. But working in STEM fields can let you go into a whole variety of jobs, from teaching in water, working with water in your village, working on the slope, working in the city. And I'm sure that Rob and Adam can talk a lot about the potential jobs out there. We kind of got interested in this field working through Upward Bound. And as you know, many of you with Upward Bound, as you think about progressing from high school into college and thinking about what you want to do with the rest of your life for at least the next 10 to 15 years of it, we started realizing that the possibilities for interesting and fascinating careers dealt a lot with where the job's going to be in the near future. And as you start looking at the statistics, which I won't bore you with, but there is great possibilities for getting scholarships, finding careers, doing fascinating, fun things in almost a wide variety of fields based on STEM characteristics. So Upward Bound got interested in how do we incorporate more STEM possibilities into what we're doing. And it came about kind of naturally to work with the National Science Foundation, which is an organization out of DC that impacts the country on a national basis. And we initially came into a partnership with them using unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. And many of you had the opportunity to work and build and, we'll say, play with those unmanned drones as you learned about the science of them, the electronics of them, the possibilities for careers. And that just really took off with the help of Adam and Mark and working with E4L as we expanded into our summer opportunities for that. So we had a successful 3-year run of working with 5 of our Upward Bound communities on every aspect of building, utilizing UAVs. And we found a lot of positives with it, but we also found, as they learned up in Shishmaref, there's a lot of limitations with UAVs. High winds, bad weather, technical difficulties, lack of the availability of replacement parts. All of that led us to a huge learning curve. So we started to improvise and put into place how we could deal with those kind of situations. And it led us to come up with a modern blanket toss advanced steroid, we could say kind of on steroids kind of a program where we started to incorporate 3D printers and we started to incorporate coding and Raspberry Pis into our thinking about using STEM in a school setting to promote interest in what are the possibilities. You know, STEM is kind of a limiting word when you think about the possibilities of jobs out there and the imagination of what you can do. So the combination of incorporating these high interest devices into the classroom creates a lot of possibilities. So we now have entered into the phase where we're working with the National Science Foundation again, and they liked what they saw. They liked what Alaska did. They liked what you students did in the communities. And they've asked us if we can modify it, expand it, and scale it up to 18 additional states across the country. And so we are in the stages of presenting to them what this program could look like on a national basis. So, and it's continuously growing as the field becomes more, as we become more aware of what the possibilities are. So we've practiced a couple of workshops, Mark and Adam and I, and using Raspberry Pis, which small little microcomputers ranging up from basically a starter kit of $60 that you can learn coding, you can do all sorts of fun, fascinating things with. And we're going to start the program using those and let everybody start to move into an area where you can build things, you can be creative, you can use all sorts of your analytical skills and creativity skills to explore what the possibilities are. And as you get into it, you'll see that there's a huge possibility for fun, huge possibility for future employment, and what better can there be than the combination of future employment and fun and rewarding financial careers. So that's where we hope to see things go in Alaska, working through the Upward Bound and through the National Science Foundation and STEM. Our new partnerships create opportunities for us to work with each of the villages and expand into more villages across Alaska, but also to interact with engineering departments at UAA, UAF, School of Educations, and in the corporate world. So that's a kind of a quick overview of where the project started, where it's going to in Alaska. Very concise, but the basics of it. So what I'd like to do is just see if there might be a question out there that I can customize my presentation to. And I'll ask Dale.
Well, my Upward Bound group was not one of the ones that was in the 5, so we're excited about seeing that expand. We did some stuff with robotics on our own, and kids are really excited about that in terms of code, figuring out all the implications of that.
And that was one of the things this was a research project, so we had 5 sites that we used as a control group and 5 sites that we put the treatment to. And Togiak was not one of those that had the treatment, but we've been talking to your district administration, Steve Noonkesser, and it is part of the expansion pack that is being planned for Alaska right now. So we're actually looking at a math and science partnership grant that would bring the new program, the T3, which is Teaching Through Technology Alliance, to your district in a full exposure format, and hopefully impact all of your elementary and upper middle school grades in full force. So we have 5 districts that we're working with to bring this to the program. Angela, do you have a question?
The students that we have here, John, Lindsay, are doing good. We're about to share a little bit about what we've been doing with the coding and what Adam's doing and how he helped us. But it sort of all fits in, doesn't it, about how students and villages can learn STEM and the coding and 3D printing. So we're good here in Shishmaref.
Okay. Well, I know I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. I kept it rather concise. I have this full-blown slide presentation, but since my phone can't keep up with it and I didn't want to drag you guys down with delayed responses between my slides, you're just having to look at a picture of me talking, which is not super exciting. But I think, when I looked at, and we've written a couple of really good articles and things right now, and the STEM possibilities, the careers that are out there, we don't even know what they're going to be. But as we visited DC last week, as we've had the opportunity to look at careers over the past several years, they're just new ones that are coming up. Things are just developing so quickly that I think it's a really exciting time for students, but it's also a very exciting time for educators, for us as adults, to think about the possibilities of how these devices can be used inside of careers and technologies, but also just in the field of teaching as ways of introducing concepts. And so I see these coming together as great learning tools and the possibility of expanding the mind of what the possibilities are, not just in careers, but also just in hobbies and exciting, fun things to do. when you go home, and if you have an interest in photography, using UAVs, if you have an interest in coding and turning your house into, you know, an electronic home, the possibilities of playing with these things, it's quite fun, and they're affordable. Even a 3D printer that you can have inside of your garage and that you can replicate parts and be creative with, there's a very exciting time.
All right, thank you, Dr. John. Appreciate that. And just checking, are there any other questions out there? The students here in Shishmaref are good. Togiak, any other questions? All right.